Do your kids endlessly ask you for your phone? Whether you're at home, the restaurant, a park, or even at the grocery store? Sometimes that can be a welcome distraction, and sometimes it can be a big problem if you're on an important phone call or you just want your kids to actually interact together like human beings. It seems to me like at home there is always that disrupt, where at first they seem to be playing okay, and then all of a sudden there's this huge disrupt. Whose turn it is, who's been playing the longest, and who needs to go next. It's all too much. Do you have a hard time getting your kids to listen when it's time to leave, to actually be getting out the door and setting down the electronics so you can move about your day? Do your kids fight about whose turn it is to play the game or whose turn it is to take out the garbage? Whether it's the gaming, the playing, the fighting, or the listening, this is the struggle that we as parents go through every single day. And this is the solution that I'm giving to you. Is your child short-tempered? Do you find that your child is zoning out when you're trying to connect with them? Do you feel like there is so much distraction in your home that you are losing moments to really feel connected as a mother, as a parent, or as siblings one to another? Do you ever feel like you have so much to get done in the house that the easiest thing to do as a parent is to turn on a video game or let them watch a movie or a show, but then you get so distracted with the things that you have to do that 1, 2, 3 hours of video game time are passing you by, and then you realize before too long that they've been on screens all day long, and it shows. Because in my house, when the kids get too much screen time, they get turned into zombies of another apocalypse. I don't know what takes over their bodies, but they are fighting more with each other. They are at each other's throats. They're not listening to me. They even go to a different realm. It got to a point where it was so bad with my son that he said at one point that he wanted to die, that he was so depressed that he wanted to die in a hole. Does this sound like something that's happened to you? I couldn't believe that at the age of 4, my son was starting to say things that had a suicidal tone, and it scared me to death. We started to go into panic mode. He was having horrible nightmares, not listening to us, and fighting and having eruptive behavior. And so we started to break it down. What is happening to our son, and what can we do to make this better? My son, Jet, is my 3rd child. I have 2 that are older than him, and I didn't realize that screens could affect children differently. And it wasn't until I had Jet that I saw he was a little more sensitive to input, that he was a little more sensitive to the things that he was seeing on a screen. And not that it all had to be bad things on a screen, it could just be the amount of screen time he was having. So what happened to me that could be a situation that could be happening to you is that I am a stay-at-home working parent, and he stopped napping, which was pretty much a nightmare for me because I kind of had to figure out a new normal for us. And so when he would get home from preschool, rather than him taking a nap, I said this would be a great time for him to have some me time, which turned into screen time. And that ended up being the worst thing I could have done as a parent. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't think that screens are bad. I don't. But what happened was a deterioration of the inside of his mind and the health of his soul. But we need to back up a little bit because there were other things that were warning signs before I even considered that screen time was the culprit. So when my son got to be around 3.5 and he stopped napping, he started to get really anxious. He was having signs of anxiety, things that he used to find joy in, like group sports, family parties, even his preschool started to terrify him. And which I couldn't understand what was going on with my son, where he was so happy and functioning and happy before, was he put in the same scenario and feeling reserved and anxious and nervous to a point where he was hiding and wanting to stare at the screen of my phone. That was the only thing that seemed to bring him relax or medicine in a way. And so we were at a party once, and I realized he is able to detach from us socially if he's holding onto a phone. So I thought he must have some anxiety going on, right? So instead of realizing that the thing in his hand was causing the problem, I started to take him to therapy. And we went to a few counseling sessions, and we started to talk about nightmares that he had been having. And we talked about his anxiety being in group settings. And we started talking about things that he was worried about. And why was he saying that he wanted to die? My 4-year-old. If I think about it too long, I will start to cry. And that's not what I'm here to do. I'm here to tell you how I can help you reverse the things that were happening to my son. It turns out that it wasn't the counseling sessions that helped him. It turns out that it wasn't talking him through. In fact, we even did a tonsil and adenoid removal because we thought it was all caused from his sleep apnea, which he was having at the time. But no, the very, very thing that helped us heal my son was breaking him from the screen time. And that's where the screen freeze was born. See, what had happened is we'd gotten all of our kids together. We were so excited. It was spring break. We got all the kids together. We were thinking we were going to go have this great vacation. We packed the kids in the car and we thought, gosh, this is going to be a 5-hour car ride. Let's pack them up with the screens. Everyone gets an iPad. And I tell you what, this was my kids' favorite part of the whole trip, or so they say. They were in the back playing on their screens, having a good old time for 5 straight hours. We thought nothing of it. And we got to the hotel and my son could not function. We got there, we were ready to go to a family movie, we were excited to go out to dinner, and it was like a flip had gone off in my son's head, and he could not even function. He was kicking, he was screaming, he was fighting with his brothers. We knew that this was something so much that he wanted to go do, but because of the amount of screen time he was having, it wasn't even about what he was watching, it was the amount of time that he was spending with the screens that turned his little brain into something that was fighting against him. In fact, when I asked him about this later, I said, how did you feel in those times when you were shutting down and I couldn't quite connect with you? And he said, my brain felt crazy, I was confused, and I felt emotionless. Emotionless. And he said that as a 5-year-old. And I have never taught him what that word was. I had no idea he knew what that was, but it was because of the amount of times he was spending on the screen. So although my son was watching a streaming, child-approved setting show, I found that he was actually watching a show that had a theme called Assassin Time. It was like a gaming show, but also one where they're kind of narrating what they're doing on the show, and they were going around and killing all of the animals in this gaming show. And I was so sick to my stomach, knowing that I had allowed him to watch something that was making him feel so sad inside, yet he was too young to tell me that's how he felt, but it was literally making him want to die. And if you are feeling like you are in a hole or your child's in a hole, I am here to make it better, because the screen freeze that we did with our family literally saved our lives and my son's life, and it has made our family so much happier. Here's how we're going to show you. So one thing that I did not expect to happen with this screen freeze was not only that it changed my son's entire perspective on life. He was a completely different kid, but it also meant his nightmares stopped, which was such an added benefit I never even saw coming. The problem for our kids today is that they have limitless entertainment at the snap of a finger. And it's so easy to pass the remote or to give them the iPad or to give them your phone in the restaurant. Trust me, I've been there. I still think that's a wonderful option. But this is about giving your family the chance to reset, to find a balance of what works for you. So after going through all of this and knowing that something needed to change, my husband and I sat down and we set out a plan. We decided we were going to do a 30-day screen freeze with no screens, but we would still have family movie night on Fridays, which would be a fun time for us to celebrate working hard together as a family, doing chores throughout the week, but getting rid of our screens entirely. So through this process, in the matter of 3 days, my son was a different kid, a completely different kid. And the best part was that he was getting along with his siblings better. He wasn't begging us for the phones all the time. And although my older kids pleaded and complained, they knew that this was what needed to happen for our family, for us to be healthy and thriving and working together as a team. In fact, it came to a point where my son, the oldest, came to me and said, Mom, I don't want to give up video games and I don't want to give up screen time, but I'm willing to do it because I know we need it. And so we did it for 30 days, and gosh, it was painful. Those first 2 weeks were horrible. In fact, it was like they were so weak from using their muscle of a brain that they were constantly bored and asking me, what should we do? And I said, you know what? Here are some options, but get used to it. You're gonna have to figure this out on your own. And they started to build things out of cardboard. They were playing Legos together more. They actually went outside and explored, and it got easier. And what used to be so painful and horrible and taking so much effort, got to a point where they were just taking care of it themselves, and it freed me up to do my own thing, but also connect with them on a deeper level. Now let me get something straight. This was not the easier route. It is easier to pick up the remote, turn on the TV. It took more effort on my part as a parent, but that's the best part. I have put together this entire framework to make this easy for you as a parent to connect with your child, cut the screens, and find out what's a better balance for you. I have a handbook that will break it down step by step, what you need to do, figuring out your why, what you need to do with your kids so that they're on the same page with you and they want to be a team player and make this work. I have it set out for you so that you can set up passwords, safety precautions. I have laid it all out for you so that it works like magic. All you have to do is buy the kit and you will be good to go. Within the book, you will find activities to do as a family. There are games to connect with each other. So here's the funny thing. My kids got an Xbox for Christmas, which I was totally on board for. It was addressed to me from Santa. And I said, as long as it's games that are being played that are bringing the kids together, I'm totally okay with that. And I still am. In fact, that was the first catalyst that brought my two middle children together. But after we did the screen freeze, we found that they were able to connect in a deeper level. But I'm also grateful that they connected through Minecraft. It was a collaborative, easy way for them to play and find a common ground. But when we did the screen freeze, they now realized they were best friends, that they actually had things in common. So I'm not saying it's an all or nothing thing. It is most certainly not. But in this kit, you will be able to see that there are ways that you can engage with them. And there are so many parts of it I'm so excited to share with you. We have Play-Doh mats that come that you can do activities with Legos or Play-Doh or tracing with letters. We also have 30 activities that break down exactly what you will need to get outside and have fun with your kids. This guide will help take you through the entire process so that you're not only creating opportunities for you to connect as a family, but that you're connecting a way for them to connect with their thoughts, their imaginations, and their feelings. This Screen Freeze Handbook is meant to help you have a reset, just like you would with anything else in your life. It's a balance and check. What is a good rhythm for you? So whether you decide to do it 1 week, 2 weeks, a month, 3 months, it doesn't matter. This parent and child journal will actually take you through 100 days. So if you decide to do it all summer, you are welcome to do that. And you can also keep on going. There's no reason that you can't do it again and again, or maybe do it once every other month. See what works for you. Because within this book, there are 5 different resources of resets, whether you want to do a chain link where you can count down the days and different ways to be creative as a family, or there are actually preset week at a glance, month at a glance, or your own create your own game where you can have rewards with everything that you do. As a mother, I want nothing more than for you to connect with your child. I want this to be an opportunity for you to feel in control as the loving enforcer, but the one that bridges that gap of understanding how we can raise our children in a screen-filled world. We are the first of our kind. Our parents didn't have to teach us through this screen-filled world, but our children will have to, and we are the ones that help them understand a healthy balance of being able to connect with each other and create space for creativity and loving their lives. And I hope more than anything that this handbook and this process will help you create the kind of family you've always dreamed of. So let me explain a little bit more of what comes with the Screen Freeze Handbook. A step-by-step guide to starting your screen freeze. A guide to determine your why. Why are you doing this? And what do you want in return? A guide to set the stage for your screen freeze. Get your home totally set, knowing exactly how you're going to make this happen. A personal evaluation, parent guide. What do you want to do? What do you want to get out of this? Do you want to reset your time on screens? My Screen Freeze reward chart. A My Screen Freeze checklist to get you started. My Screen contract, one written for older kids or younger kids, depending on the ages of your children. My block scheduling printable to help you plan out your screen-free day, 50 screen-free activities for families, 50 chapter books ideas for girls and 50 for boys, Boredom Buster paper chain, my Boredom Buster board game, my Screen Freeze tracker, and so many other resources, including Play-Doh mats, weekly activity planners, Boredom Busters, and so much more. I almost forgot. You will also get 4 10-minute videos that will show you exactly how to start, work through, and finish your screen freeze. I hope that all of these resources will help you to reach and maintain those healthy relationships that you want and so desperately need, so that you can look back someday and know that you spent this time with your children together instead of in front of a screen.